Hey everyone, it's Nicole. It is so good to be back. I didn't mean to be away for over a month, but a lot has been going on. I'm going to talk about it in this video, and we're going to talk about some other things too. Winterizing your writing. Winterizing your writing the way a field mouse winterizes. More about that in a little bit. But first, please let me make the initial introduction, these are my copies, of To the Dogs. 31 very short stories about man's best friend. These are stories from 31 different authors from all over the world. It's been such an exciting project. My little tiny publishing company, Altitude Press, has put this out. You can see the little logo. And it's been a real labor of love. It's been a really exciting adventure. I put out a call for submissions in 2023 asking for flash fiction dog-themed stories, not really knowing what was going to happen. We had put out a couple really small anthologies before. The first one was really tiny, Freedom Flash, and then I thought, let's do a Christmas flash fiction anthology. So we did a flash fiction Christmas, which was really fun, but tiny. It's like a stocking stuffer one. I think I'll be promoting that here in the next couple of months, lead up to the holidays. But it's really cute, but really tiny. 12 stories and just great. I love that anthology. I thought, you know what, let's do a real anthology. I've taught anthologies for years. I love anthologies. It's anthologies are such a nice way to be exposed to a bunch of different authors and get sort of get a taste for their work, a sense of their work, and see what you like, and maybe you want to read more by those authors. So many of these authors have published elsewhere and continue to publish elsewhere. Some, this is sort of their debut. So it's a great collection full of wonderful stories. Yes, I am not objective in that opinion, because these authors and their stories sort of mean the world to me. It's been quite a journey. They've been wonderful to work with over the past many months, and yeah, super proud of this one. So To the Dogs, you can find it right now. It's primarily on Amazon. The ebook is exclusively on Amazon. I'm thinking the paperback will be showing up. This tends to happen as time goes on. The paperback will be showing up without me submitting it anywhere else. I found them on, not this one, but other ones on Target, Barnes and Noble. They'll show up in different outlets, but it takes a little time. I haven't actually looked to see where else it might be available yet, so I'm assuming it's just Amazon for now. So anyway, look for some good promos on this. Also, as we lead up to the holidays, these stories are wonderful, and if you are a dog lover or someone you know is a dog lover, this is also a great gift. All right, there's the plug for that. Let me tell you a little bit of a story about something that happened to me today. The field mice in northern Arizona, and I think they're field mice. They may be pack rats. Maybe that's the same thing. I'm not sure. I'm not a mouseketeer in that way. I don't really know my mouse facts. They have been extremely active. They have been extremely plentiful. And it's not just here at Altitude Press headquarters. I was in Home Depot looking for a mint repellent spray because I'm not going to catch them in traps. I'm not going to snap their little necks. I'm not going to, the sticky traps, just no, it's awful. It's cruel. I am way too much of a softie to do that, even to a little mouse, because they're really cute. These aren't like rats. These aren't like invasive, horrible, like gnaw on you while you sleep kind of vermin. They're cute little mice, but yes, they do. I mean, they can carry disease, and they can do some damage as they nibble their way through things. So I was in Home Depot looking for this mint spray, which I recommend. I actually think it's been a good thing. But there were two other people who were also looking in this section, and one of them was saying, like, I just want to kill them. I don't care. They were upset, but they were locals. And then there was a third person. A woman said, oh, you got that spray. She commented on something about the spray. I think it was in checkout. So 3 people in Home Depot, one visit, everyone was talking about the mice this year and how they've sort of run amok. It's crazy. I don't know if it's our extra long warm season. I don't know what it is. I do know that I spent much of this last winter not at home. I was sort of living in two different places, and there was some food stored not as well as it could have been. And I think those two things made my home particularly appealing this year. But then I went to another store. I was trying to find steel wool, because that's another thing you're supposed to do, I guess, is, if you find little crevices, little gaps in your house. And I have an older house. It was made in the 1950s, and then it was moved. It was like this whole crazy story. I won't go into all of that now. But my house is not the most square thing. It is built super, super solid. It has great bones, and it's really cute. I should do a tour of my house one of these days. But again, not today. But because it is like 70 years old, I think it's actually 70 years old this year, because I think it was built in 1954. It has some issues, right? It's not the most watertight or mouse tight dwelling. So it needs, it might have some cracks here and there, some little openings. So I was looking for steel wool. And again, this woman comes up to me and she's wanting to inspect the steel wool, and we start talking about the mice. Then I'm back at home, a bunch of stuff, not quite renovation, but like painting has been going on. I've been painting my house. I've been reorganizing just inside and out, getting ready for winter. We're going to get to that. For writing, I promise. The story is turning into not flash fiction. It's like a long personal essay. But anyway, I was outside moving a trailer because I had a bunch of cinders delivered, and my neighbor came over with his backhoe. Bless him. My neighbors are awesome. And was moving the cinders around. And I had like 44 yards of cinders. So if you know how much that is, it's 2 huge dump truck loads. I mean, it's a lot of cinders. So in order for him to be able to move all these cinders around to the different areas of the property where I wanted them, I needed to move things. I have like a little utility trailer. I have a horse trailer. I have a bunch of sort of big items, so I needed to move. So I was moving one of the trailers, and as I did that, I looked out the window, and this field mouse was just booking it across the old horse pasture, just like zoom, and I watched him go, and I'm like, I have never seen anything like this. It's just crazy. Okay, so that brings us to today. So today, it's been a while since I've caught one of these little guys or gals in the little humane traps. I haven't even told you about the humane traps. So I have these humane traps. You put little peanut butter or whatever in there, and then you set the trap, and then the mouse goes in to eat the peanut butter, and the door closes, and then you have a live mouse. So you're not killing them. Again, some of you will roll your eyes at this, I know, but sorry, I'm just not going to do it if I can help it. So catch them, and then I usually I'll drive them down the road. They say you should drive them like 3 miles, which I don't do, but I drive them down the road, release them, etc. So today I caught one after several nights of not having a mouse in the trap, because I think I've been doing a pretty good job of filling in all the gaps. And again, I have lived in this house for 15 years as of like a couple months ago, and I've never had anything like this. So it's just a weird year. They're getting in, they're extra crafty. So I've caught some. It's been several nights. I thought, okay, we're good. I think we're done. I think I'm good. I think I'm mouse proof for the winter. Woke up this morning and there was a little guy in the trap. And I thought, okay, no big deal. So, have my coffee, maybe a couple cups of coffee, get dressed, load up Junebug in the 4Runner. I have an old Gen 3 4Runner, and I just love it. It just goes forever and ever and ever, and it's just like an old battle axe. It's a great truck. It's sort of my 4-wheel drive for the winter. It's sort of my beast for the winter on the mountain. Drive down the road, and it's very busy out today. The weather's so beautiful. There's a bunch of tourists. Everyone's out exploring our roads on their bikes and their motorcycles and their little ATVs. And drive down the road to where I know there's a cattle tank. This is a dirt road, sort of a back road. And I know there's a cattle tank. It's been super, super dry. And so I want to release the little guy where there's some water, because I think everything is just totally dried out, right? And again, I would have made a terrible farm girl. I really related to Fern in Charlotte's Web, who begged her father not to kill the little piglet who grew up and became Wilbur and all of that. Fern was probably a way better farm girl than I ever would have been, because I would have tried to save every animal. I once let the bugs that my brother was keeping in a jar full of formaldehyde, which we used to do in school, so that he could pin them to a board for science class. This used to be an assignment. I don't know if kids are still doing this. I kind of doubt it. But I found his bug collection that he had taken a lot of time and care in collecting these bugs, probably for days. And I found them and I let them all go. Sorry, Don. I think he forgave me for that, but he was pretty mad at the time. But I couldn't stand it. Anyway, so I got out of the car, got the mouse, and kind of hiked over to where this cattle tank is, just to let the mouse know, hey, you have a water source here, and set the trap down, open the trap. What did the mouse do? It ran right into the water. And I'm watching this little thing, the water's a little scummy because it has been so dry. So there's like moss and algae and like scum on top of the water. And I'm like, I have just sent this mouse to a watery death. So I'm watching, like, I can't wade through the green muck into the cattle tank and grab the mouse. Like, I can't. Really? Is this really? I have not had enough coffee yet at this point. So I promise we're going to talk about writing. So I'm standing there in disbelief. My jaw is just open, like, oh, come on. And the little guy like runs, and he runs like a third of the way across this pretty big cattle tank. This is just, when I say cattle tank, for those who don't know, it's just like a depression in the earth. It's filled with water and the cattle can come, or other animals, wild animals too, can go. It's like a watering hole. So he's running, he starts to go down, and then he gets back up on the scum, the algae, and then he's running and he kind of goes down. I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm going to have to watch this. This is terrible. I'm like a bad mouse rescuer. And then he kind of figures it out. Like he kind of looks around for a sec, turns around, runs all the way back across the watery scum. And this mouse is like running on water. It was very impressive. It's not like they have webbed feet. They have these little tiny feet. And he runs out onto the dirt and he's fine. That's my story from today. That's my intro. And we are like 12 minutes into this video at this point. What I want to talk about today, hi everyone, is winterizing your writing. The way a field mouse, a pack rat, a run-of-the-mill mouse, whatever you want to call it, using the same care a mouse takes in preparing for winter, in winterizing their own well-being, their own little homes, their own lives. How do we do that as writers? So I have some notes. The first thing I want to say is be prepared. The mouse population in northern Arizona is so uber prepared this year, this fall. Again, I haven't seen anything like it. I don't know all the factors leading up to it, as I mentioned, but I'm witnessing it. And residents around here are witnessing it. If you get on social media, some of the local Facebook groups and things like that, I'm seeing people just joking, and some of them sort of tearing their hair out about these mice. But say what you want, those mice are prepared. They're using the resources they have. This nice weather, it's not snowing yet, it hasn't frozen yet. We haven't really had a hard freeze yet. They're using that to their advantage, and they are doing whatever they can to prepare, knowing that winter is coming, because it always is on the mountain. We are at about 7,000 feet, so we do get an actual 4-season situation here. We get several nights, typically in any given winter. Typically we'll have several nights that are well below zero. This is Fahrenheit for those of you across the pond. So we get hard freezes here. We get lots of snow, sometimes feet of snow with a single storm. That's pretty extreme, but it does happen, and it's not unusual. So be prepared, know what's coming. So for most of us, we look at winter and we think, okay, we have the holidays coming up. We have shorter days. We're not going to be probably, many of us, I don't want to overgeneralize, but many of us are probably not going to be getting out, getting that sunshine, that vitamin D, that exercise that can be so useful for inspiration. It can be such sort of rich fodder for our writing lives to move the body, especially outside in nature and in the sunshine. So know what's coming. Know that, especially if you live in an area that doesn't have gorgeous balmy winters, if you're sort of in the northern climes, know that you might not be getting out as much. Know that the holidays are coming up. Know that might mean travel for you that interrupts your normal schedule. It might be family coming into town. I actually have family coming into town this weekend, next weekend, and then probably a friend coming after that, which is so awesome. And I love it. However, it's all time allocation, right? So when family's in town, I'm not going to be writing, or more what I've been doing lately is editing. I'm not going to be working on the next anthology. I'm going to be hanging out with my family, hanging out with my friends, because those are such important parts of life too. And it's super, super exciting. So be prepared, know what's coming up, and then plan and schedule accordingly. I think it's really, really, really important. Sorry, I'm glancing at my notes as I do this because there's some things I really want to mention. It's really important to be able to plan accordingly and to know, hey, I'm not going to expect the same sort of output in the wintertime that I might at other times of the year. This might be flipped for you, by the way. You might be a winter writer where that is really fall and winter. It's really your time to get content created. You might really, really be able to generate a lot of words during those seasons. But I think for many of us, that's not so much the case. And so I would also say, as an extension of that, as an extension of know what's coming up, plan accordingly, go easy on yourself, right? This is a time of year when some people get SAD, seasonal affective disorder. So there are issues with that. Sometimes it can kind of sap our energy, can have a direct effect on creativity. Again, maybe you're a writer who actually thrives in that when the days are shorter and the nights are longer, and you get some candles going or whatever. Maybe that works for you. But I know for many of us, the shorter days and longer nights and the cold of winter can really have an effect on our creativity and our output, and on our ability to just sort of let it roll off of us if we don't have a great writing day, right? It can be harder, I think, in the winter months to sort of be accepting of that and to just say, you know what, it's okay. It's winter. It's good. Let me go outside and get some sunshine if I can. Let me go shovel some snow, use the snow blower, whatever it might be, and then see if I can kind of rejuvenate. But regardless, it's okay. It's not the end of the world if I don't meet the same sort of word count that I'm meeting in other more productive times of the year, right? So go easy on yourself. And I think with that comes this idea of being willing to shift into a new sort of rhythm, like a new writing zone. I think it's unrealistic for most writers, and correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, if you think I'm way off base here. I think it's unrealistic to just assume that we turn on the writing machine, being us, and we just maintain a consistent level of output throughout the seasons, throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year. And if once it's on, we just go like we're robots or something. I don't know. For me, that's not at all realistic. Things come up. You maybe get sick. Again, holidays, people are visiting, you're traveling, there are delays, whatever might happen. I think it's really important for us to just be mindful of that, shift into a new rhythm as needed, knowing that if this is not a super productive season for you, a more productive season is likely coming up down the road. If that's spring, if that's summer, if that's fall, whatever it might be. So prepare mentally and maybe talk it out. If you have other writers in your life or writing adjacent people who are maybe not writers, but they're very supportive of your writing, verbalize that. Maybe ask them to be sort of accountability partners. Hey, if I'm getting too hard on myself or I'm getting really down in the dumps about my writing, can you remind me what I'm telling you now, that it's fall and winter's coming around the corner? Can you remind me that I need to maybe lighten up on myself, not be so hard on myself, allow the rhythm to change, allow the seasons to do what they're going to do? And remember, it's all grist for the mill. Winter time and sort of the introspection that can come with winter, the looking inward, some of the stuff that can come up around the holidays. I feel like I'm taking like a negative look at the holidays, and I'm not. I actually love the holidays. But it can be an interesting time emotionally for people. It can be an interesting time psychologically. Family stuff can come up, personal stuff can come up. And while sometimes that's not always the easiest thing, for a writer, for any type of creator, for any type of artist, that can be very, very rich, fertile territory. Even if you're not, using those experiences, using those thoughts that come up, feelings that come up about relationships, about the past. Now, there's a good chance that you can use them later in your work. And whether you're a poet, creative nonfiction, fiction writer, whatever your work is, screenplay writer, you can likely use some of that rich material. Think of some of the movies you love, whether it's a rom-com or a sci-fi or anything that's sort of character-driven. These sorts of things, the less sunny times, the more introspective, family saturated, memory saturated, relationship saturated times, for better or for worse, often provide very, very rich material, and often are very central to a character's development and to what makes characters interesting. So try not to shy away if you're feeling a little less than super productive, if you're feeling a little less than super sunshiny because you're literally getting less sunshine, less vitamin D. Think about that and try to pin some of those things down, even if it's taking quick notes. Maybe you have an audio recorder, or I like to use the notes app on my phone. Pin some of these things down that occur to you, some of these experiences, even the uncomfortable ones, maybe especially the uncomfortable ones, because maybe you're not as in touch with those at different times of the year. Again, I'm sort of speaking to the I don't want to say standard, but the common scenario of seasonal affective disorder that tends to affect people, maybe creatives a little more than other people, during the darker times of the year, the times of the year with less sunlight and longer nights. While some of the stuff that can come up during those months can be uncomfortable and we just want to push it away, as a writer, as a creative person, don't do that. We need light and we need dark, right? Yin and yang, light and dark, happy and not so happy. That's what makes a three-dimensional, believable, credible character. So think about how you might use some of these experiences, even if you're not writing memoir, it doesn't have to be about you, but how some of the things you experience in the real world can impact the way you create your characters and your stories. Okay, so use that. There's a lot of richness there, even if it's not, it's not always sunshine and rainbows during the winter, but it has its own beauty for sure. So I knew, for example, getting back to this anthology, again, it's To the Dogs. You can just search for it on Amazon. You could search for To the Dogs, my last name, McInnes, MCINNES. I knew that I wanted to release this before winter hit. My schedule tends to get actually pretty hectic in the winter, and with that, my energy levels sometimes definitely come down, and my creative output comes down too. So I knew that I wanted to have this released in fall. So it was released on September 27th. I meant for it to be released on the 30th, but we went ahead and pushed it up a few days. And I knew that I wanted to do that because my schedule gets busier, my energy levels start to come down. Also, with the holidays approaching, I wanted to be able to do some marketing and promos with this through Altitude Press. So that is the story with that. So I think I've covered everything. Yeah, I'll be curious if you have thoughts on this concept of winterizing your writing. Be like the field mouse. Be resourceful and think ahead. Don't just think, oh, my productivity is so great and we're in early October and it's awesome and that's just going to continue. Maybe it will. And if it does, hey, you keep going. That's fantastic. But for many of us, that just isn't really possible in these months that are coming up. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And again, I've really missed you guys. I'm going to wrap this up because we're going on 25 minutes now. And that's pretty long for one of my videos. But I'm so glad if you stuck around and to the end of this. And I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff. And I will see you soon. I very much plan to not wait another month to do a video. So thank you for hanging in there. And I will see you guys soon.